Welcome folks, Sean Cornett here, Ambit Energy Executive Consultant. Hopefully you're on my team, but if you're watching this and you're not, I certainly hope I'm able to provide some value to you here. But I want to share and add on to the basic training, customer training that you hopefully have seen from Brian. If you haven't, it's ambitpros.com, where you're probably watching this. And go to the toolbox and customer training. You really need to first watch that video before this one's going to make sense, because I'm adding on to it. Here are Brian's 4 steps for customer gathering. And this is universal whether you're in Texas, New York, or Illinois. I'm going to give you some power tips, some more advanced tips on top of these in between the lines type of stuff of these 4 steps. And then also, you'll have to check out on the customer training page there. I've also got some power tips for specific to New York and Illinois and then Texas, because it is different in each state. So I've got some power tips unique to those states that you need to check out depending on what state you're in. But first of all, let me talk about these 4 steps here. Here's the huge mistake that everybody makes. Okay, there's a reason there's 4 unique steps, and they are in order. Most people, they do what? They skip straight to step 4. Okay, they skip 1, 2, and 3, and they start spewing out information on the facts and the savings and the reward points and the free trip and the free energy and all this stuff, and that will annihilate you, folks. You'll come into the business. If you try this and you think that people are just, all you got to do is spew out all these facts and they're going to switch, it ain't going to happen. You're going to get frustrated and you're going to quit. Okay, there's a reason that we have the 4 steps. They work. Now, you might be the type of person that doesn't like asking for favors, and I understand that, but I'm going to change your perspective on that right now, which is very simple. Here's the deal. You're not asking them and expecting them to switch just because of your relationship, just because of who you are. There's a difference, okay? First of all, let's ask for the favor. And how do we do that? It's very, very simple. Call them up. Hey, Joe, Sean, whoever, whatever your relationship is with them, obviously is going to determine how you introduce yourself. But then you say, Joe, hey, I got a favor I've got to ask of you. It's really important to me, and it's not going to cost you a dime, by the way, but I do need 10 minutes of your time. Do you have 10 minutes right now, or did I catch you at a bad time? That's what you ask them for. Okay, you're asking for their time initially. You've got to get permission to go spewing on. I hate it when people call me and they start pitching me, and 5 or 10 minutes in, after they've finally taken a breath, I got to cut in and say, you know what, I can't talk right now. There's nothing that'll kill your deal faster than that. Okay, so that's all you're doing on step 1. Now, it's important that you understand what is the true favor that you're asking for. When you get to step 2 is, you need to explain why you need the favor, or why you're asking for a favor. And it's very simple, folks. Here's the psychology behind it. Here's how I approach it. It makes me very comfortable and confident in asking for a favor, because I am not asking them to switch because of my relationship alone. I would never ask them to pay more to switch to my business, okay? But if it makes sense, I do expect to get their business. Here's if I were to put it into words and phrase it to them, I put it this way. Joe, here's the deal. I don't expect you to switch just because it's me, but I do expect to have the opportunity to compete for your business. Because of our friendship, I do expect to at least get the chance to compete for your business. That's if I were to put it into words. You don't have to, get it across that way, but that's the psychology behind it. That's what you need to be approaching with. Okay, so here's the deal. Why do you need the favor? You got to explain what you're doing. Now, the one thing you've got to get across here, folks, is that of course, just like Brian said, you're sharing your story, why you're doing the business, why it's important to you. Okay, it's not, remember, it's why. It's not what the favor is. At this point, you gotta let them know why you need the favor. Okay, because you are doing this for a reason. This is something that's very important to you. Okay, so that can be brief or however you want to get it across to them, but they need to know the why so that they know how serious you are, and the fact that this isn't just something that that you just kind of jumped into on a whim. And to go into more detail on that, step 3, talk about the credibility of Ambit. Now here's the deal. This is huge. even more importantly than the credibility of Ambit, you've got to get your credibility across. They need to know that this isn't something that you did jump into fly-by-night, that you're just trying out. This isn't just another network marketing deal that you need a favor for, you need a customer for. Okay? This is something that you've done your research on, that you're serious about, that you're committed to. You need to come across with some conviction before you can ever give credibility or lend credibility to Ambit. You've got to have credibility with them before you can lend credibility to Ambit. So first of all, let them. A part of giving Ambit credibility is getting across how serious that you are, and the fact that you've done your research and your homework, and you are working with a company that is legit, is real, and is doing right by customers. And then of course you lend credibility to Ambit and their ownership, and we work with Shell, and etc., etc., etc. Okay, but it's important that you establish yourself in their eyes correctly. They need to know that you're serious, you're committed, you've got some conviction behind you, and then they're going to take things a little bit more seriously. Versus you just coming across, I got in this networking deal, I need a few customers, would you help me out? That can work with some people. But, this is serious, this is their utility, this is their electricity. If they don't sense that you're serious, that you're committed to this, why I wouldn't switch my electricity to somebody I know that's in that situation, that I get that impression from. No, I'm going to stick with TXU or Reliant or Con Edison, because I know that they're in that business. I know that they're serious about their business, even if I'm paying more. Does that make sense? That's huge. And then finally, you skip to the step that you go to the step that most people skip straight to, which is actually talking about the facts and the figures of the service and why it does make sense. And remember that this last step, all you need to do here is make the decision make logical sense. You do not, I'm going to put this in red, okay? You do not need to sell free energy. You do not need to sell reward points. Okay, you do not need to sell the free gift. And you do not need to sell the, what's the other perk? Yeah, you do need to sell the savings, but only so much. You only need to sell savings so far as it needs to make sense. You cannot let that be your rally cry, because then they'll get caught up in the technicalities of it. Okay, the decision needs to make sense, and that's it. Personally, I recommend not even talking about any of these things. Why? Because it works out much better if they make the decision to switch and then they find out about it later. Then it really is value. Right now, this stuff can come across gimmicky, and it can actually take away from your sale because they think, that's just a bunch of network marketing hype. Okay? But if they switch because it makes sense, and then they find out about it, I guarantee you're going to get a lot more mileage out of that than if you tried to sell on this stuff to begin with. So really think about that and how you want to approach it. But once again, do not lead with this stuff. Do not make these things your rally cry. All you need to do is make it make sense. Okay, those are the additional points that I want to share. Now, the next thing, if you haven't already seen it, or depending on where you're watching this video, you need to go to Ambit Pro's Toolbox, Customer Training, and check out the specific power tips for your state, because things are a little bit different for each state. So if you haven't seen that, that's the next thing you need to see. I appreciate your time. Hope this has been beneficial. Have a great day. Give me a call if you have any questions.